Hello, I am Holly, Intuitive Success Coach, and I'm so honored and excited and thrilled to connect with you today for your first video in identifying, really understanding what are fears and what are the necessary things that you can do in your life to be able to overcome your fears, to be able to shift patterns in your life where fear comes up and really keeps you from doing what you most desire to do in your life. And so over the next little bit, I'm not sure how long this video is going to go for. We'll see. Definitely some things are going to come up intuitively for me, obviously, that I'm really excited to share with you. I do have some notes. I do have some key pieces that I want to share with you during this video and over the next maybe one or two other videos that you're going to see in conjunction with this topic that are really going to serve you moving forward in your life. That's really what I focus on with my clients, is supporting them, supporting you, and identifying what it is that's holding you back. So then that way you can take the necessary steps and implement the necessary systems and structures into your life, into your business, into your relationships, so that you're no longer struggling, that you can continue to move forward in your chosen direction and live an extraordinary life. And so let's start off with truly understanding what fear is, and obviously how to shift your mindset around relating to those fears. And I'm going to give you some really key exercises that you can do to be able to work through this for yourself. And so, two main points about fear that I'm going to share with you now. Number one, fear is 100% associated with your ego. Okay, so the ego is all about separatism. It's all about making you think and feel that somehow that you're separate, or somehow that you're different, or quote unquote special. Now listen, we're all kind of special in our own way. I like to use the word unique more than special, because thinking that you're special actually tells you or confirms to you that you're separate, that you're not a part of something. And so in addition to that, the ego really behaves in kind of a sneaky way. It would have you believe that you could do absolutely anything, that you could climb a mountain or write a book or go up to that guy that you really, really think is cute and maybe ask him out on a date. And then when you're starting to think about actually doing those things, then the ego comes back in again and says, no, you can't do that. What are they going to think? What if you say something dumb? What if it doesn't work out, or whatever? And so it's really this tug of war that you're playing inside your mind, inside your heart even, depending on how you feel it, if you kind of like analyze it, or if it's a body felt feeling. And so you play this tug of war inside of you of wanting to do something but feeling like you can't because of whatever. And so I talk a lot about that there's two main forces in our lives, in ourselves really, and those are desire and fear. And it really boils down to, which one do you feed more? Do you feed your desire more? If so, of course you're going to do amazing things in your life. Or do you feed the fear more? And if you feed the fear more, then you're going to stay stuck. You're going to stay status quo, or in mediocrity, or in lack, or suffering, or what have you. And so creating the awareness is your first step. In case you have missed my interview with Michelle at the very beginning, go ahead and check that out. Go ahead and watch that before maybe you get into the other details of these videos. There's a lot of great nuggets in there for you as well, but a little bit more on kind of my story and my journey of what I went through. And if you have watched the interview, then you're going to understand fully the first step is making the decision. Right? So making the decision that you really want things to be different for yourself, or that you're not available for certain things to go certain ways in your life, that you're only available to live your dream life, whatever that looks like for you. And so having the awareness, creating the awareness of the ego and that little voice inside of your head that says, go and do this, or go push this way, or go talk to that person, or go climb that mountain, or whatever. And then the shift that happens of like, no, you can't because. So really taking stock, really taking awareness of what that voice sounds like. How is it speaking to you? And so on. And so the second main point in fear is disconnection from source. So you have the ego, and the ego is all about separatism. So this really ties into disconnection from source, is that when we get into our ego, we're really disconnecting from our higher self, from our source. So whether you're religious or spiritual, it doesn't really matter. It's at the end of the day, it all kind of comes down to the same thing, is that we are children of God, or that we are pure consciousness. If you want to have this conversation, it's one of my favorite things to talk about. But that you are a spiritual being in a very physical body, not the other way around. A lot of people go through life thinking that we're this physical body, but then we have this some sort of like spiritualism, or that, you know, there's a God out there. When in reality, you are a spiritual, cosmic type being in a very physical, dense, molecularly dense body in the third dimension. And so, disconnecting from source. Anytime that you are feeling bad about something, it is an indication, it is the awareness of your soul making you aware that you are disconnected from source, that you're disconnected from your higher self. So if you truly believe and understand that you are a spiritual being who is connected from this angle of source to body, and then being connected in this way in the third dimensional plane, it's really going to serve you and serve you well. All right, so fear associated with the ego. The ego is all about separatism, disconnection from source, feeling that you're separate then, or that you're somehow disassociated with your pure potentiality of you being a child of God and you being the source energy. Okay, so fears are illusions which hold us back from living out our fullest potential. And so if you've ever heard of the Course in Miracles, it states nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So nothing real can be threatened. So the Course in Miracles teaches about the opposite of fear is love. And so if love is the only thing that's real, then anything that's unreal, or anything that's real cannot be threatened. So your true state, your number one state all the time, no matter what, is pure love, is pure potentiality, is source, because you're a spiritual being. And what can happen, obviously getting into the third dimension, is you're connecting to your ego, which is all about separatism. And your ego is the one that says, no, actually, this can be threatened because I'm feeling this way. You know, if you get upset about something, your body starts to react in such a way, or your heart hurts, or maybe, you know, my heart is broken or whatever. And so there's this notion that you're separate. There's this notion that this thing that I'm seeing, feeling, believing in is real, which in reality it's not. Because the only thing that's real is love. And the Course in Miracles talks about there can be no opposite. Having said that, we do see the universal law of polarity of opposites, that you cannot have one thing without the other. But in true spiritual fashion and in true teachings of the Course in Miracles, the only thing that's real is love. So therefore, fear is just an illusion. It's just this image that comes into our mind based on our egos. All right, so the next key piece here is we tend to get into this state, especially when we're really identified with our ego, we tend to get into the state of struggling or survival mode, and or suffering. And so again, if you remember me saying about you being disconnected, with you not being in alignment, that is the definition of suffering, is that when you're not fully connected with the truth of who you actually really are, is suffering. And so therefore, that's an illusion, because that cannot be real. All right, and so this next step from going from struggling, survival, and suffering, is to get to a place where you're thriving, where you're connected, and where there's love. And so the Course in Miracles, there, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Therefore, fears don't actually exist, they're illusions. Herein lies the peace of God. So what the Course in Miracles is talking about here is that when you are fully aware of who you are, when you're fully aware of your unlimited source connection, that you are pure love, that can never be wavered, that can never be hindered, that can never be disassociated. And so you are a pure being of light, and therefore all the other things, i.e. ego, separatism, fear, lack, any of that is just an illusion. And so you becoming the conscious being, you awakening to your innate abilities inside you and fully understanding, fully grasping at a heartfelt, soul-felt level. I'm not talking about intellectually. That's where it starts. Intellectually, we hear the content that I'm sharing with you right now, and you're like, okay, this makes sense. I can kind of understand what she's saying. And then you get to a point where you feel it on a body-felt level, when you connect to it on a soul felt level, when you actually grasp that concept on a much deeper level, that to me is awakening. That to me is you're on the path to enlightenment. You're on the path to really creating the life of your dreams. And so to be able to do that, I hear you asking, Kate, what is it that I can do to make this happen? First and foremost, it starts with making a decision. First and foremost, it starts with making the decision that you desire to live a different life, that you desire to no longer struggle and suffer and be disconnected from your true potentiality, from being disconnected from yourself, being disconnected from source, I am, all that is, God, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. It's all the same thing in the end. And so really understanding that that's your pure potentiality, right? Consciousness was created because it wanted to know itself. These are just experiences that we go through day-to-day life to better understand who we are. So the fear that you're going through right now, the struggle that you're going through right now, there is a purpose for it. And the purpose is not meant for you to stay in it and struggle. God does not want you to struggle. It does not want you to be held back. It does not want you to be in survival mode. It wants you to thrive. That's why you're here, is to thrive, is to take your experiences and understand that they are not happening necessarily to you, but they are happening, and you do see them happening from an ego intellectual standpoint, but that it serves a much bigger purpose for you to connect with, tap into, embrace your inner power so that you are living out life unlimitedly. That's why you're here. You're here to live life unlimitedly. That's what you're meant for. That's what God wants you to do. And I know deep down inside that that's what you want. And I hear you saying, yeah, but it's just so hard. Or how do I do that? And what, so on and so forth. And so the thing that I want to share with you right here, right now, is that anything and everything that you need to know is already inside of you. You as a child of God, as source energy, came into this world fully equipped with everything that you need to know to go through this life. So we're brought into this life with lessons that we must learn, with a purpose, whether that be you want to teach or you want to heal or you want to share or whatever. It's obviously your responsibility to learn what your purpose is and to really tap into that. And these experiences that you're having right now, i.e. fear, struggle, suffering, what have you, are meant to fuel you into stepping into your greatness so that you can continue to show other consciousnesses what they're meant for. So the law of oneness states that we are all one, that we are not disconnected, that we are not separate, that my neighbor across the road there is not separate from me, that we are all one. Consciousness was created because it wanted to know itself. So it created other consciousnesses, that we are putting ourselves out there and putting up the reality that we perceive, right? Perception is projection. If you perceive to be scared, what's going to happen? You're going to put things outside of yourself that would make your ego, that would confirm to your ego that what it's thinking is true. And so if you have fears around, say, you're starting out, you're a new coach and whatnot, and you have fears about asking for money. You have fears about getting on the phone with someone and telling them about your packages and programs. What's going to happen? You're going to attract people energetically. You're going to attract people that are going to get on the phone with you and that are going to say no to you. So that your ego is being confirmed of what it's already thinking. So creating the awareness is very, very, very key here. Making the decision that you desire to live life differently is your first step. Then the awareness comes into play. And once you have the awareness, then you can catch yourself. Anytime you step into fear, anytime you start to disconnect or disassociate from your true calling, from your divine connection, then you can intellectually, emotionally say, oh, I'm out of alignment here. Thank you so much for making me aware of this, and I'm going to choose to react differently to this situation, right? That makes sense? Perfect. So, ways on how to do this, very pragmatic ways on how to do this. First and foremost, for me, meditation has been 100% helpful in this area. So when you first have so you've made the decision, you have the awareness. Anytime you step into feeling lack, fear, disassociated, or disconnection, you can make the conscious decision to react differently, to choose differently, right? That's the beauty of life. We all have choices. We all get to decide how we live our life and what it looks like and who we allow in it and what experiences we want to have in life. And so meditation is great for this. Sitting down for a few moments. If you're new to meditation, I get it. It's like this idea of like, well, how do I clear my mind and what does that look like? That's not what I'm saying. First and foremost, this isn't about you being like, Buddha sitting under a tree, like clearing your mind and not thinking about anything, right? This is about you creating the awareness, having the awareness. This is a really key stage here in reaching enlightenment, reaching full connection and pure potentiality here is meditation. And so taking a few minutes a day to just sit quietly, closing your eyes, and paying attention to your breath. It's that simple. So the power is in the present moment. Fears are all about, anxiety is all about worrying what's going to happen. You're putting your power ahead of you. You're putting your power into the future. And we can have anxieties about past. We can remember something that happened in our past and it can bring up an anxious feeling. But usually anxiousness and fears are all about the future. So meditation, sitting in meditation, connecting with your breath. It's a body felt experience, right? Again, we want to connect the intellect, the mind, with the body, with the heart. And so focusing on your breath is really going to serve you in this way. And so doing this for a few minutes, even just focusing on your heartbeat, the steady rhythm of your beat. And the more deeply you breathe, the more consistent and slow your heart rate is going to get, where it's going to be at a steady, even pace. So calming your cells down, right, is this rush, is this like anxiety feeling that we get, and we can just get really anxious and nervous, and maybe it's even excitement, but we think that it's anxiousness, but really we're excited about something. So there's a fine line between those two. But connecting with your breath and your heartbeat is really going to serve you in a way to connect into your body and connect these two parts of you so that you're not off thinking about things that haven't even happened yet and making up stories in your head of things that probably will never happen. But the more you focus on them, the more they're going to happen, right? So having the conscious awareness of what you're creating in your life. You are the creator of your reality. Remember that. Another really key exercise that I absolutely love to do, and you can do this anywhere. You can do this standing in a lineup at the grocery store or at the bank or wherever you're at, is called box breathing. And it's super simple. You're going to take, it's on a count of 4. So you're going to take a breath in for 4 seconds, You're going to hold it for 4 seconds. You're going to push it out of your mouth for another 4 seconds. Then you're going to wait 4 seconds and take another breath for 4 seconds. So it's like a box. So you're breathing in for 4, you're holding it for 4, you're pushing it out for 4, you're holding it for 4, you're bringing it back in for 4. And there's your box breathing. And doing that literally calms your cells down. It literally just calms them down from racing, and it connects you back into your body. So getting back to the meditation piece of when you are in meditation, and after doing this for a couple weeks, you're going to actually start to become aware. The awareness is going to kick in of that you're not so much in your head thinking about things, that you're like, oh, wow, my consciousness is aware of me doing this exercise. My consciousness is aware of my heartbeats. My consciousness is aware of how great and amazing this feels to be connected to myself and be connected to Source. This is the evolutionary step of tapping into enlightenment, of getting out of this lackluster, mediocre space that we can find ourselves in, and reaching the enlightenment, reaching the point of pure potentiality and pure connection. All right, so I am so excited to share this information with you. I hope that this video has served you well in the first few steps of identifying, of understanding what fear truly is, of being able to identify your fears and working through those. I do a lot of work around this area, so if you have specific fears that you want to talk about, go ahead, comment below, connect with me. I would love to support you in this area, and I look forward to connecting with you in the next video to talk about our next topic, which is all around fear and money and how those two play with one another. Take care.